Is Den of Thieves a worthy successor to Heat, or is it another dollar store cheap knockoff? You already know the answer to that. What's up, everyone? Chris here from MTR Network, and I'm back with another review. This time I'm reviewing Den of Thieves, which is another one of these films that starts at the beginning of the year that is trying to pay homage to Heat. And of course, it's going to fall short because, like so many before it, it just fails to understand what really made Heat work. Look, this movie right here is one of my all-time favorite fucking movies. Like, Heat is up there. It's Pulp Fiction, Bram Stoker's Dracula, and Heat. Those are the films that when I see them on TV, I stop what the fuck I'm doing and I go to watch them. Heat is the gold standard for films involving bank robbers. It's inspired so many copycat attempts, and it even spreads into other mediums like video games. Like, there's a mission in GTA 5 that's very similar to the opening robbery scene in Heat. It's just everything we do is like people grab from Heat. And it feels like the first part of every other year is filled with new films that claim to be in the same vein as, inspired by, or intense action like Heat. Like in 2016, I think it was Triple Nine, and this year it's Den of Thieves. And every single one of them, while clearly inspired by Heat, fall incredibly short. It is frustrating. Really, really frustrating because I don't think these films understand what made Heat work. So let me help them. If you don't have actors of the caliber of Robert De Niro and Al Pacino, and yes, even Val Kilmer, then your film should not be mentioned in the same fucking breath as Heat. Every single one of these knockoff films only seem to take from Heat the big, intense action scenes from those two big robberies, either the one at the beginning and the one at the end. They don't seem to understand that what made Heat work, what made it such a fucking classic, are the scenes in between. Before I even go more in the Den of Thieves, I really want to go into this for a minute because, like, again, Heat is just, I'm a Heat stan. I'm sorry. You know what my favorite scene in Heat is? It's a 6-minute coffee shop scene with Pacino and De Niro. My God. It's so fucking good. It's right before the big score and Hannah and Macaulay are finally coming face to face. Up to this point, we watched them play cat and mouse games between the two of them. We've seen the kind of men they are, and so the tension when Hannah pulls up beside Macaulay, it's just palpable. And then he invites him to have coffee. And what follows is 6 minutes of a relatively civil conversation where we see men who we know are heading towards an epic and violent confrontation bond over how their life choices make their relationships hard, but because they love what they do, they're never going back. And then right at the end, when they're both yucking it up and bonding, it suddenly turns back to them reminding each other that when it comes down to it, the next time they see each other, they will not hesitate to put each other down.
You know, we're sitting here, you and I, like a couple of regular fellas. I mean, you do what you do, I do what I gotta do. And now that we've been face to face, if I'm there and I gotta put you away, I won't like it. But I'll tell you, if it's between you and some poor bastard whose wife you're gonna turn into a widow, brother, you are going down.
There's a flip side to that coin. What if you do got me boxed in? Then I gotta put you down. Because no matter what, you will not get in my way. We've been face to face, yeah. But I will not hesitate. Not for a second.
Maybe that's the way it'll be. Or, who knows?
Well, maybe we'll never see each other again.
listen, this shit is fucking good. Good. And the rest of Heat is just like this. You get to understand the characters, their relationship with their girlfriend, their wives, they're expanded on. Hannah's failing marriage and cheating wife and is another one of my favorite scenes. These scenes are what make the action scenes in Heat so good. It's what makes the movie so good. Honestly, less time on action and more time on these scenes. That's what you do it. So how does it relate to Den of Thieves? Well, first of all, it's very clear to me that Christian Gudegast, who both directed and wrote, he was like one half of the screenplay writers for this film. It's very, very fucking clear. He's a huge fan of Heat. It's. There are scenes where you can tell he definitely straight up, if you will, lifted them from Heat. The opening scene of the film is the crew stealing an armored vehicle, and just like in Heat, one of the crew mistakes the guard for going for his weapon, so he shoots him, causing the rest of the crew to kill all the other guards. Gerard Butler's character, Nick Flanagan, is the lead police. He heads the major crime division. And just like Hannah, he's going through some marital issues. Now, granted, Flanagan is a cheating asshole and not like Hannah. But still, they even have him confronting the new boyfriend. Later on in the movie, at one point when they're robbing the bank, Pablo Schreiber's Merriman character says to the people in the bank, hey, it's basically the line that Macaulay says in the bank. He's like, hey, we're here for the bank's money, not your money. The only thing missing is him saying your money is insured. I mean, there are plenty more subtle similarities between this. The confrontation between Flanagan and Merriman before the big score. The firefights are just as intense as Heat. It's just, they're all there. It's very, very clear that this is almost, I don't want to say it's a love letter to Heat, but you can definitely tell. Like, it's to the point that sometimes, I'm not going to lie, sometimes I got annoyed. I got annoyed because it's like, you're not you're just straight up lifting from Heat, and I'm never really a fan of that. Although they do enough differences here that I think that you could make it more of okay, you're just paying homage to it. You know what it reminds me of? This is gonna sound funny. This reminds me of, like, if you're a hip hop head, like when The Game dropped his first album and it was nothing but name dropping other big rappers. Like, that's what Den of Thieves feels like. Sometimes you're like, okay, I like the beats, I like what you're saying, but god damn, dude, can you stop name dropping? Like, and that's Den of Thieves. And that's why it's really hard for me not to compare this movie to Heat, because it literally just, I mean, it's so close that it's almost down to stealing almost. And that's a shame, because I do think there's a good movie here. And this film definitely has its own twists and turns and veers off from times from Heat to be its own movie. But going back to what I said before, the problem are the B and C plots just aren't as strong as they should be. Gudegast wrote this play with Paul Schreiber, and they're not new to screenwriting, but I do wish they had gotten a little help with this script, because like they needed it for the subplots. It's what keeps Den of Thieves from living up to its potential, and they really need to understand that the thing that made Heat work is paying attention to the characters. Now, the problem could be that they just didn't get good enough actors to play the roles. But, and going against what I said earlier, I don't think you needed to have Pacino and De Niro level actors. I mean, first of all, getting a pair that plays off each other like those two is a lifetime choice. It's like, there's once in a lifetime casting. You're not going to get anything that works better than that. And look, Gerard Butler isn't exactly the strongest actor. I mean, first of all, it always seems like he's speaking outside one side of his mouth, like he's chewing his words on the other side and spitting them out on the other. It's ridiculous. But I do think he could have worked in this role if they switched his character with Schreiber. And not just switch the characters, like him playing a different one, but like switch their demeanor. Going back to Heat, the reason De Niro and Pacino work so well together is that they're polar opposites. De Niro's Macaulay is collected and reserved. He surveys the landscape and then he acts. Pacino is loud, energetic, and chaotic. And watching them play off each other, it just works. Like, it fits both of them, and you get this cat and mouse, hot, cold reaction. And like, again, going back to watching that coffee shop scene, you can see Pacino's character is trying to poke and prod and get De Niro's character to react, but De Niro's remaining calm. And it's just, the way they do. Like when he asks him, you trying to go back? Back, basically saying going back to jail. He's trying to get that reaction, and that's what makes it fucking work. In Den of Thieves, they go for that same dynamic with Butler's character being the hard drinking and drugging wild head of major crimes, while Merriman is the former Marine turned bank robber, and he's quiet and calculating. And in Schreiber, he pulls his role off, and I'm just not sure Butler does. Honestly, casting someone other than Butler might have actually saved the movie, and it's just because I think Butler does better in roles, I think, when he's the calm, collected, reserved one, and he's not in this one. It just doesn't feel natural, and so when you're trying to have these characters play off each other, it's just missing. So what they do is they don't do it. Like when in Heat, the coffee shop scene is set to have the two main characters that we've been looking at, the head of the crew versus the criminal crew versus the head of the detective unit. That coffee shop scene puts them together in head-to-head combat, and you have them build that tension with a conversation. Whereas in Den of Thieves, they have to do it like almost physically. Like at one point, it's so weird. It's so passive aggressive. Butler's character shows up and walks into a shooting range that Merriman's at, and they kind of like show the tension by them. It's just it's fucking stupid. Like you can see in the trailer sometimes they're kind of basically whipping their dicks out by shooting. It's just fucking it doesn't have the same effect. It's too on the nose. And I think it's because either the acting wasn't there or, and I definitely know this, the writing wasn't there. It just wasn't.
Types will arrest you. We just shoot you.
Another thing also that kind of hurts this movie out and kind of misses the point of Heat is none of the side plots matter. Because I'm not sold on Butler's character and the drama with his wife and family, they just don't matter. And honestly, it never comes back up. In Heat, the drama between Hannah's wife and his stepdaughter completes its arc. It's revisited. Halfway through this movie, we never see Nick's family again. At one point, 50 Cent's character is seen watching his daughter get picked up for prom by her boyfriend. 50's character does the overprotective dad route, think Bad Boys, but more serious. And it's actually pretty good. Like, the problem is we never revisit his family. So it's just a wasted scene that's supposed to humanize a member of the crew, but in order to do that, we need more than one scene. Another example of this, Osai Jackson Jr.'s character, Donnie. In the trailers, they make a point of having him say, I can drive, and then showing him in the scene with Merriman driving the Mustang. What if I told you that is the only time he's the wheelman? So they set this character up to be this great getaway driver, then they never use him to drive the getaway car. Like, it is mind-blowing.
I want to put that seatbelt on.
Fresh out of school, cause I was a high school grad. Sleeping in the living room.
Is that what you're looking for?
And shit like this happens all the time throughout the script. It's like the script forgets things that they establish with their characters early on. At one point, Merriman shows the crew the pictures of Nick and the rest of the major crime squad and goes, yeah, know your enemies, boy. Again, stealing from Heat. But then later on, Danny is approached by Nick and acts like he doesn't know who he is and like he's never seen him. And he does this twice. And then it happens throughout the movie. It's just... like, guys, like, if you're going to say something in the vein of Heat, you gotta do character development. Character development is key. You can't just make... like, Heat is not just some action movie. It's an action crime drama. You have to put the same amount of work into the developing of the characters as you do the action. And a lot of these films don't. It's just disappointing. It really just is. And look, I know it seems like I'm downing this movie. And don't get me wrong, I think a lot of people are going to actually watch this and enjoy this movie. And the reason why is the action scenes are pretty fucking intense. And the big score, the robbing of the Federal Reserve, is actually pretty clever. And it shows where this film differs from Heat. And it makes it's really intense. It's kind of clever, and they handle it. There's also a pretty big twist that you might see coming. I know I figured it out pretty early, but it was still executed fairly well. I mean, and it didn't bother me knowing that it was coming. There were some questions I have about it, and I think that, again, the writing is not that strong, but it was still fairly rewarding. And like I said, the action scenes are shot really well. The intensity of everything, it's just, they nail it. Like the big, obviously, there's gonna be a big firefight because you see it in the trailer, and yeah, man, they're fucking intense. I like how they handle it. The cinematography is great. And I think that's why I'm really disappointed in this. I think that they had a gem here. They had something that could have been the next Heat, but they just put the focus on the wrong thing. They didn't get the strong enough actors. They didn't get strong enough writing. Like, I really wish that more seasoned writers came in and tweaked this script a little bit. I think it would have worked perfectly. I think they would have gotten it and nailed it. And instead, we just get something that honestly should have been a lot better. God, man, it's hard giving this film a verdict because I didn't leave the film right away. Like, when I left the theater right away, I wasn't like, oh man, that was terrible. And obviously the audience actually really enjoyed it. But the more and more I thought about it, the more and more I just couldn't go, man, I just want to watch Heat now. So I guess I'll give it a 6.5 out of 10. Because again, I don't think it's bad, and I guess if it was on TV and I had nothing else to do, I'd watch it. But I can't stress this enough. Characters. That's what makes Heat work. If you're gonna pay homage to the character, to the movie, put an insane amount of time into fleshing out the characters. I couldn't name anyone else on Nick's Major Squad team. I just couldn't. I didn't know anybody really else. I didn't really care about anybody else other than Donnie and Merriman on the crew. They just don't matter. If you're going to put the time into characters, then cut the movie down to 90 minutes. This film, that's not the problem with this film. The film is 2 hours and 20 minutes with a poorly fleshed out B and C plots. I mean, come on. No, if they had made this a sub 2 hour film, then you would have been jumping from action scene to action scene. And to focus on that, you could have cut out the scenes with 50 Cent's character's daughter. You could have cut out the scenes with Nick Flanagan and his wife and things like that. Like, putting things like that in there just make this film longer for no reason. And it didn't need to be. They could have knocked this down to under 2 hours, made it almost more of an Italian Job type film, and that would have made more sense, and it would have helped the pacing out, and it wouldn't feel like it was just this long. Like, if you're gonna do a 2 hour and 20-minute film, you better fucking make sure that you put some character development in there, and it's good character development, and it's quality character development, and you put some time into that, and you make it dialogue heavy. There aren't any lines I can think of from this film. Like Heat, I can remember those lines. I can just you feel it there. You know that dialogue. You know the dialogue and the interaction of those characters really works. Den of Thieves just doesn't do that, and it's a shame. So once again, we're here, and we have another film that tries to be Heat and falls fucking short. So, hey, look, stop doing it. At this point, Heat was 1995, and people still haven't found a way to replicate it. And, honestly, it's mainly because, one, the writing, and two, you don't have the actors to do it. And like I said, I don't know of another pair that plays off each other as well as De Niro and Pacino did. Like, not saying we don't have the same quality of actors. I'm just saying I haven't found a pair that's serious and just they're so opposite in the way they act, and it just melds really well. So you can't do that. So anyway, there you guys have it. That is the review I have for Den of Thieves. Again, like I said, I think a lot of people will enjoy it. I just think it's too long. Again, it goes to the Blade Runner thing where you made something that could be decent, but you probably need to cut like 20, 30 minutes out of the film, and you can really then get people to go see it. And that's where I feel like happened with this. So anyway, there you guys have it. Before I move on, I want to say this. everybody knows, if you've been watching YouTube or you're a YouTuber yourself, you know that YouTube made an announcement this week about making changes to the partner program. They're now saying you need 4,000 watch time minutes, which we have, and you need 1,000 subscribers, which at the beginning of this week we didn't have. At the beginning of this week, I think we were sitting at like 870. And we were making a good progress of people subscribing to our channel. A lot of people who watch YouTube videos, they don't actually subscribe to those channels. There are people I've watched for years on YouTube and I don't subscribe. Well, we put a call out on Twitter and our social media to our fans and said, hey, listen, if you really enjoy our content, please subscribe so we can stay in the partner program. And I have to say, the response was overwhelming. It really means a lot to us. We literally doubled the number of subscribers we had. We are now well over 1,000 subscribers, and I want to say thank you for that. If you're watching this video and you're not subscribed, or you're watching some other people's videos and you're not subscribed, please think about subscribing. Again, I'm not asking you to come in there and subscribe to our stuff and never watch. I want people who actually enjoy our content. If you don't enjoy our content, hey, listen, be honest. Don't subscribe then. There's no I'm not shitting on you, and I don't take it as offense. Just you don't like our content, then don't. But if you do like our content, you do watch, please subscribe. Also know that, and this is just a note for everybody who's ever uses YouTube. And again, YouTube doesn't really tell you this. Even though you subscribe, you might not get the notification that we have a new video up. So if you really want that notification of us or anybody else who you're subscribed to, you want to know when they put a new video out, make sure you also hit the bell button, the little bell button beside the subscribe button, so you're notified every time we put out a new video. And we're trying to do at least 5 days a week, put out some new content, whether it's a review like this, whether it's one of our podcast episodes. We're always trying to get something out on the feed, on the YouTube channel. So again, thank you guys very much for supporting us. And moving forward, we're hoping to have way more content coming out as well. So again, I can't stress this enough. Thank you for your support. So we'll be back soon with more content. Stay tuned.